HPQ Silicon continues to break new ground in the rapidly evolving world of battery technology. The company just filed a provisional patent for a high throughput manufacturing process of silicon based anode materials, a key component for the next generation lithium ion batteries. This patent could have a major impact on energy storage technology by addressing critical challenges in cost, scalability, and sustainability, potentially worth tens of billions of dollars in an addressable market. We're sitting down with Bernard Tourillon today, CEO of HPQ Silicon, to discuss the significance of this breakthrough. Bernard, welcome back, my friend.
Hi. Long time no speak. Well, according to some people, it's been a long time, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Even I called you last week to say, hey, have you been kidnapped?
No, I just thought I'd give people a break of seeing our charming faces.
It was probably a good idea. So, congrats. This is a significant patent filing. Okay. Patent filing is always important because it's more than just talk, which is important. 30,000-foot overview first, because there's a lot in here. Walk us through what this patent covers and why it's so important to HPQ's broader vision for battery materials innovation, for lack of a better term.
Okay. Well, what it covers, basically, we've been announcing some pretty good results on our highly engineered or silicone-based material. All right. And I've always said that the strategy of HPQ is to advance that segment of the market first before we start going back from using the QRR to make our own feedstock. So we always knew that there was a beautiful opportunity for us in the silicone anode material section. Okay. Now, we've been demonstrating since the beginning of the year that we're doing, big stride with regard to our Gen 1, 2, and 3 silicone anode material that have been delivering fantastic results, especially our Gen 3, but still delivering fantastic results. Now it's important for people to understand because, the relationship, it's very nice to have those results, but does HPQ own the patent? That's a question that comes along. So now we've answered the question. Yes, we have a patent for the multiple process to do, and our focus on reducing the manufacturing cost of doing this. You have to remember that what we're really changing in the last few years is the intent to reshore all those manufacturing process. Okay. So you better have a reshoring of a manufacturing process of a material that's superior to what's available out there in the world, even in China, in Asia, and to be able to produce it either in the North America or in Europe. So fundamentally, the message I'm now passing to investors is, hey, what we're doing is nice. It's patented. We have our own process. We know we'll be able to make this material much lower cost than most of our competitors. And for multiple reasons, we know that although there are other people making silicone-based anode materials that are delivering some good results, most of those materials, okay, use silane gas as a feedstock, which is a highly expensive, highly dangerous material that is in short supply. Okay, the holy grail in using silicone in batteries, that's not me saying this. That was Elon Musk a few years ago when he made his big battery shows and talked about it, okay, was figuring a way to use metallurgy grade silicone metal to do this. Well, HPQ, because of its QRR, okay, no, I'll take one step back. What we've discovered and what we've done, what we've demonstrated is you can't really use, well, everybody knows, you can't really use the real metallurgic grade 2N metallurgic grade material. You need to use an upgraded metallurgic grade material, 3 to 4N material. Go back to the QRR. What we have as a technology can allow us to make the upgraded metallurgic grade silicone metal in one step using 25% less feedstock, okay? Which is the feedstock to start making all the materials for batteries. So in a certain way, we're reaching that holy grail of having a pathway to make that material. Okay, that starts with a metallurgic grade silicone metal because for us it's a one-step process. Even for my competitors, Ferroglobe, making 2Ns is a two-step process. When you go to 4N,
that's a massive advantage, right? A one-step process versus two in manufacturing is night and day.
Yes. And now what we're doing, and we've announced that in 2 weeks ago when we went to the national phase of the continuous SIOX, what we're now doing is adding technology blocks, okay, to our patents so that we can cover the entire manufacturing going from upgraded metallurgy grade silicon metal to advanced silicon engineering material, the type of material that has delivered the results which we have been publishing up to 300 cycle, and that have been extraordinarily promising and very, very, very exciting. Does that make
By the
sense?
way, before little side point, does
Mhm.
filing in France provide you with the patent protections you need for something like this? Because if you file
Okay,
in France,
it's
is that good in the States? Is it good through Asia? What's
okay.
what's that situation?
First of all, you got to read the text. It says provisional patent file. Okay, so that's known under a PCT convention. All right. Once you go to the national phases, okay, you then decide all the jurisdiction you want to. So you get a period of 12 to 18 months where your invention is protected, time stamp, okay? You can still do some modifications to the patent, not massive one, but you can still improve, play around, and do those things. And then in 18 months later, or up to 18 months later, you file a national patent. So if you go back to my press release on the 18th, what did I say? Well, we had filed that patent, and now we've gone to the national phase. But we didn't mention all the jurisdiction. We did it because we don't think that's really important. Probably somewhere in my AIF or my annual, my financial statements, I'll discuss this. But remember, when I wrote in that press release, I said based on very positive preliminary examination status. So it's that first level you start to get a good idea where you're going with your review, how it's advancing, how potentially strong your patent can be. Okay. So because we already have the QRR patent, okay, we've now gone to the national phase for the continuous SIOX manufacturing, okay, and hitchhiking on that, we're now presenting those all other material because all the other materials start with SIOX. So we think we have a very strong patent, a very strong technology bricks that will allow us to have a low-cost manufacturing of a material that's been shown to improve significantly battery life over some very interesting cycle life.
So does that mean the filing of this provisional patent should your shareholders, should the market, should your industry, the industry read this as this is your coming out party? You're laying all the cards on the table for everyone to look at, and that's because you're confident that nobody else can be able to, duplicate or copy or reverse engineer or come close or steal any of this. Is that because that's what it
Well,
seems like? It seems like this is a very bold step here.
it's we've done this with every one of our invention. What differentiates us, and I think the reason why I've sort of like went into so much detail in this press release about it, was that I'm now having a lot of discussion with financial third parties. Okay. And those financial third parties have a lot of questions, but they don't want to know what I haven't published publicly. So I'm sort of like in a catch
Oh,
22. So for me to be able to continue those discussions, I sort of have to make it public through this press release. Issues that they're asking me questions about, or they will ask question about, or I have interested into. Okay. Because when you talk to some parties, you go through signing NDAs and you don't have to go through this. But when you talk to funds, institutional investors, and those type of things, hey, they don't want to
yeah,
be
they're not going to
bothered
sign
with. They're
NDAs. They
not
just
going to
want to
sign
talk.
NDA. They're not going to sign all these things. They say put it public. So I have to. I have to.
Because that's what it felt like. It felt like you were really disclosing a lot here as I was reading this. It felt like you really were meticulous. Step one, step two. Yeah, there's 4 steps. Inside of each steps, you're really specific. And it
Mhm.
just felt like to me when I was reading it, it was almost okay, great for shareholders to be informed, but almost seemed like you're writing it for somebody else.
Well,
That's what I was thinking.
if
So
you divide the press release, okay, page one is for the shareholders. Okay, it's very simple. We filed a new patent. What's this patent? Well, this patent covers up the great battery results we have. So, guys, uh, feel comfortable that we know that we're having some exclusivity with regard to making that great material, which is delivering the great results, and it's an HPQ's name. I think that's a great press release. And we could have stopped it there. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I took the opportunity to do what you just said. Okay. Go one step further. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some people, some the Googling out, trying to figure it out, what we're trying to do. I had to play a very, very
Google
balanced.
PhDs.
Oh yeah, Google PhDs that are going to be. I had to play a very clear balance with saying enough for the market I'm addressing, which is financial institutions, okay, and not enough for the people in the industry to say, well, everything you wrote there is basically known by everybody. But what's your secret sauce? And as long as they can't figure out what the secret sauce, then we're happy.
So that begs the question, because you're writing this press release for somebody else, how we're just talking, but you're also telling us now that you're writing it for financial third-party discussions. I actually wrote that down in my notes. So what can you tell us about that? That tells me that you're not just talking to Georgecom Finance. You didn't go through all this just for Georgecom, Financial. What can we take this as a sign that interest is really, I'm talking capital markets only, not industry. We'll talk about that. But should we be taking your comments as a definitive sign that conversations on the capital market side are really starting to pick up?
Yeah.
Can you provide a little more? Okay, I thought that was going to be yes, but what kind of discussions are you having? Just ballpark. I'm not. You can't be specific, but short-term
I have
financing, long-term financing, growth financing. What kind of conversations are you having?
all of the above. Okay. We've sort of demonstrated a business plan that works pretty well for us. What is it? Well, we prove at lab scale, okay, that we can make a material better, cheaper, that is in demand. We did this for the fume silica. Okay. Now we have to go to the next step, which is basically the pilot plant, which is ongoing, which is going to be all that issues moving forward. Now we're replicating this in the battery space. Okay. Because in the battery space, if you think about it, the results we've been publishing using 18650 batteries, not half cell batteries, not rinky-dink thing, we don't know, 18650 batteries, okay, is a demonstration just like we did for the fume silica, where Evonik said, oh, your material is good. This time around, we don't need an Evonik at this moment, because we have a material that's commercially available where we're showing our best result. Probably in the next press release, I will show a business case where we've actually been approached, okay, to resolve a real life issues with our material. Okay. So as we get to those positions in our discussion, okay, then we'll have to be looking at the next stage, which is going to be, how are we going to partner up to build the pilot plant to keep moving forward? And there are ongoing discussion about this. There's multiple discussion on multiple level coming along. Okay.
All right, that's great, because I'm about to discuss. I've had a little section here in my notes. Metrics is where we're starting to talk about tens of billions of dollars. And one of the questions I had was, these are huge markets, big numbers, great. How you plan to get to them? So let me save that question. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up, but here are the metrics. 95% of the anode material in today's lithium-ion batteries is graphite. HPQ silicon-based material should position us to capture a significant portion of the addressable market, ranging from 10 to 15% of the total graphite market. So that's metric number one. So I'm going to ask you, full stop there. How do you get to that figure? How did you guys surmise 10 to 15% of the graphite market?
Well, George, if you go back to reading all our press release, where we at the beginning were probably overly discussing, and if you go back to our October 18 press release, okay, what is our Gen 3 material? Okay, it is a mix of graphite and our partially optimized Gen 3 material that has been manufactured and then put in 18650 commercial batteries. Okay. So the reason why I'm giving those wishy number between 10 and 15 is because I'm not going to give away the secret recipe of what is exactly our number. but we know it's within those ballpark, and that's about what the market expects. The guys in the industry that truly know what they're talking about will know what we're talking about. That's why the same numbers have been, presented differently by other companies to come about to the same numbers. So, without giving away the secret sauce, that's why I say it is. So
Okay, but
that's the
that's why I
old.
asked, because I said, okay, good, that makes me happy. But hey, where'd
Mhm.
this number come from? Is this just a best guesstimate? Or maybe you're talking to potential partners who are telling you this? You can't disclose the
George,
secret sauce, but at least I answered my question that there is a formula there. There is a secret formula, secret sauce there that got you that 10 to 15%. Because that's part one of the metrics. The next one is what's even better. The global graphite market by volume is projected to grow to 4.5 million tons by 2030.
Mhm.
And again, this is a quote excerpt here from this growth translate into an addressable market
Mhm.
between 450,000 and 675,000 tons. That's 10 to 15%
Mhm.
for our material by 2030, valued between $22.5 billion US and 33, let's call it 23 to 30 to $34 billion.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, if you're a shareholder of HPQ Silicon, you're happy to read a number like that, no doubt. But hence my question. That's a huge market, and that's a huge number. How do you get to it? Because it
Well,
won't
actually,
be.
George, if you look at the press release, there's a small number 10 right next to it. Because the regulators are really annoying. I can't come up with numbers without defending them.
Of
Small
course,
number 10. And you go to number 10, it says the $22.5 billion taking by multiplying 450,000 by US 50. So I was conservative. I took 50. Okay. And the 33 is taking 600,000 multiplied by 50. That's where the number comes from. That's the
well,
that's
no,
the,
sorry. What I
the
meant. Sorry, Bernard. Hold on. My apologies. How do you get to it? Is how do you get to that market? Because Bernard and Peter are really smart guys, obviously, but you guys aren't going to be able to get to on your own to a
okay.
23 to 34. So what do you think the plan might be? Joint venture, partnership, direct sales? Do you, because it
Okay.
sounds like you're having discussions. Do you have an idea where
Oh,
you
it's
might, how you might
George.
attack that market?
George, it's not even an idea. I think I've actually explained it, but if there are people asking questions, maybe I wasn't very, very clear. Okay. There is presently a graphite shortage. Right. Secondly, graphite is mostly controlled by China, which is blocking export. So there is a known deficit of graphite in the world. One of the business strategy, one of the things we have argumented that we're going to do, okay, is we're going to allow to address a little bit of that graphite shortage, okay, by replacing some of that graphite in batteries by our material, which will address the shortage, okay. Now, when we say that our material is already, I think what's exactly the word, but basically plug and play into it. That's literally what it is. It's
Yeah.
plug and play, okay. Well, this is not hearsay, wish say, okay. We've done that. The reason why we did 18650 batteries is to demonstrate that you can incorporate our material, okay, in
Yeah.
present manufacturing system without having to change it. That is the confirmation. It is not a theoretical concept. It's not a dream. We've done it. We've demonstrated the pathway of doing it. We've demonstrated that our material is plug and play into it. Now, how we're going to go about addressing that market is logical way. It's one that's ongoing with our discussion. Is we're probably going to end up partnering with graphite companies because
Yeah.
graphite A, okay, has a graphite that delivers this material. Well, they start working with us, okay? So they'll do the heavy selling, the heavy marketing. We'll just furnish them the material, the combined anode material. Or we might go to an anode manufacturer, anode company that does the material. Or we might go to a battery manufacturer that wants it. Right now, there is no clear-cut path to it because there's no clear pathway. Some battery manufacturers manufacture their own SiOX. That's in China, but that's the way they do it. In North America and Europe, it's going to be more segmented between people, okay? And there's going to be people who are going to say, whoa, this is a beautiful market to come in. We want to come in and play into it. If you look at this, Group 14 is basically, Group 14 is using a silane-based material. They're doing the material and they're selling it to OEM, but they're so expensive that they're just like for a specific niche market. So the pathway is relatively simple. The pathway is going to resemble a lot of what we're doing with fume silica. Eventually, we'll choose, of all those parties we're talking to, one party that we want to start dancing more with, sign an LOI, and then move on developing. Maybe go to MOU, start doing battery material testing and doing those issues. Because what we've
Same
demonstrated.
process that you kind of went through to get to Evonik and then get to this point here.
Yeah. And as I keep telling people, okay, this material is about a year behind where fume silica was a year ago. A year ago, we were starting to get the lab scale results, we were good. Now we're going to go to pilot scale, which is going to be the same thing. We're going to go up to pilot scale. But what happens is because the numbers are bigger, okay, and the market is more diverse as opposed to fume silica, which is a quasi-monopolistic situation, right? There'll be more avenues for us to commercialize and grow our projects.
Yeah,
Will
you
it
took
be
the
in
words out of
this?
my mouth because going after a couple $1 billion fume silica, you can potentially partner with one big company like an Evonik and do a lot of damage. But when it comes to a market this big, you're going to need, a handful, 2 to 5, 3 to 4 partners, so but it sounds like those discussions they may be early, but it sounds like you're already talking to some companies about.
Yes, but
Wow.
we couldn't go, we couldn't talk more about this until we sort of got at least past 300 cycle results. Okay. I've said it many times with silicone, it's known industry, you can go to about 150, then it dies. When you start going above 300, you're starting to have something very, very good. And our competitors that are doing this are using silane gas. And everybody else has the same issue, which we don't have. Okay. They're looking how they're going to secure their access to a uniform silicone material. Okay. So we don't have that problem because we're going to have the QRR to do it. I just saw one of my competitor, or maybe not competitor, basically announced, oh, we just signed an LOI, non-binding LOI, by the way, with a basically recycler of solar panels to try to get our material. Well, just newsflash, the other one that tried it is just basically had their asset put up for sale. So
Given what you just said there a minute ago back before that part, it sounds like is it fair to say that the 300 cycles results that you put out a couple of weeks ago, was that what really was a catalyst to kicking up the conversations with the financial third parties and other big industry or big or small, I don't know, I have no idea, industry players? Was that like a real catalyst when everybody said, okay, he's gone over 300 cycles with minimal degradation and plenty of capacity here? Was that a tipping point?
No, it started before, but the conversation gets to be more serious. Okay. But just to give you an example, one of the parties we're having discussion with says, okay, now we got to start to do our NDA. And he says, well, no, don't send us our NDA. We have our own legal team. And then the guy writes back and says, okay, send it to legal, but they're not the fastest deck in the wood. But in the meantime, this is where we want to discuss. So I understand how the process works. I understand sometimes people would like it to work faster, but
It's not a pizza.
It's not a pizza. And that's why we have multiple projects that are ongoing. We got fume silica this area, we got this one. And the beauty of it is I can start now to talk about, let's say I'll start talking about hydrogen probably once we have everything, lawsuit in a nice little bow and says, okay, we got the government financing, we got the project, it's moving forward. I don't have, so the battery space is an important one because it goes to the core of what HPQ silicon is, okay? We've designed an innovative way of making metallurgy grade silicon. But since its inception, HPQ Silicon's business plan was to make a higher purity material in one step and go further down the value chain. Originally, it was for the solar business, but hey, the battery business came along, and now we control pretty well all the material. And as we said here today, our QRR can even be converted into a continuous SIOX manufacturing equipment. So we have multiple options moving forward. We're addressing massive addressable market, which everybody knows, right? And the hiccups that the EV industries are living right now, okay, are not going to affect us because there are lower hanging fruit where our material, which we've tested, is already good enough.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, the 3Cs. Before I get to that,
Mhm.
based on what you've just said there, does that mean will we even see any further cycle test results, or have you gone in it far enough, you've proven yourself enough that now you can just start having the discussions with everybody you need to talk to, or will we see a Gen 4 or more Gen 3 at 500 cycles? What do you what do you expect there?
I have to be cautious about my answer, but it will be something like patience, young Padawan, but you have no clue what we'll be seeing. Something like that. It's more something like patient young Padawan. It'll be all of the above.
Okay. And I respect the fact that you can't say more, but I ask regardless.
You
Your
like to put me on the
strategy will be
spot.
focused on producing silicon-based materials for the 3C markets, computer, consumer communication. EVs is not there, not at the outset anyways.
Mhm.
Projected to grow to $38.3 billion by 2030 and perfectly
Mhm.
suited for the materials you've already validated at this stage of our development. That's your quote. Explain why the 3C markets, where it sounds like you're making a real definitive statement now. We're going after 3C markets first, EV batteries later, sounds like.
Well, first of all, let's be realistic, okay? All the EV gigafactories right now, okay, are either in survival mode, trying to organize themselves. They don't want to change anything they're doing in the production line. Okay. 3C markets, on the other hand, are growing. They need
Boom.
batteries that are more performance. As I told you in my next communication, I will demonstrate a business case for our material, the advantage of our material that can be demanded, which is actually being where we're actually being approached by a large state organization that will need that would need those type of solution now. Okay, so this is the point.
How long until that comes out? Because everyone at home is probably thinking, who is it? What is
Well,
that?
no,
Is
we're not going to name it. We're just, as I said, we're just going to show a business case, okay, of a real life implication of what our plug and play material in an 18650 batteries, okay, can have a significant influence on something that's presently being used widely and in high demand. All right. I probably confused more people, but I think I was clear. But if I'm confused, it'll
well,
be
I
cleared
don't
up in the
think you
next
could
press
be
release.
totally clear because you're talking about a potential future event. So I don't think you can go much further than that. But
Yeah.
it sounds like someone's Georgecom whatever has called you up, Georgecom Energy has called you up and said, "Hey, can you solve a problem for us? Because we're reading your stuff and sounds like that." So we'll leave it at that
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I can't push you and you can't tell me anymore, not without getting everybody in trouble. So I'll leave it at that. What is it a combination? Last kind of question. What's leading to all this? The competitive advantage? Is it the superior performance? Is it the quote reduces energy consumption by 25%, lowers cost by 25 to 30%? Now that's not as big as the fumed silica numbers, and we're spoiled. But lowering costs by 25 to 30%, that's still, I think, in the shattering category. You know, uh, and the reduced carbon footprint. Yeah, I
Mhm.
know you might tell me it's all three, but what's really driving in your competitive advantage? How would you rank those?
Well, battery cost, okay, is one of the key pressure points in the industry, all the industry that are battery related. Okay, cost is one of the segments. So if we can reduce the cost of manufacturing and improve the performance of the batteries. By default, we will reduce the cost per watt of the batteries. By how much at this moment, we don't have the exact numbers calculated, but we knew it doesn't take a genius. If we make the material cheaper, that gives you more energy, the cost per watt is going to go down. And remember, it's the cost per watt that what counts. So if you want a cell phone that's more performing, but you don't want to have to pay like massive amount of profit. Listen, battery like phone manufacturer OEM are going to say, well, I grade this batteries. I can sell my phone the same price with a better batteries, but it doesn't cost me more. So that's why you see, yes, these are more markets that are going to be big volume, smaller margin regard to fumed silica, but they're still very decent margin. Very, very decent margin.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to reduce costs by 25 to 30%, you've got built-in margin that's bigger than most companies. I would think. I have no idea, but it would seem that. How long, if you had to kind of give us a roadmap, do you focus on the three C's for the next couple of years and then EVs at some point? You know, what does that
No,
roadmap look like? Or is it too early to tell?
no, it's good. As we said, we're going to work on both of them together. Like eventually, the thing is, if you go to 1,000 cycle, it'll take you almost half a year to get those results. Let's be realistic. Then you got to come up with a few different versions of the battery. So it might take a little bit of time before you get those issues. So as we improve the 300 to 500 type of cycle type of batteries material, we'll be going in those areas, and we're pretty sure that we're going to get requests for samples from different battery manufacturers, from different OEM, or those type of issues. I think right now the OEMs on the battery side are much more focused on getting their plant to be working as designed. Take a look at Nordvolt. Nordvolt could have been a big client for us to send material. Right now, Nordvolt is on a existential situation. How many gigafactory projects move on and off because right now they're not that much sure. So going after the 3C market is a very safe market for us to be into as we gain our expertise, demonstrate the capacity of our batteries.
Devil's advocate. Do you have a bunch of companies, competitors, George Com Energy, who might be making the same shift and saying, man, the EV space, the EV battery space is not as robust as we thought it would be by now. We better switch our attention to the 3C market.
Okay, I'll go back to my argument, George. Okay, we're the only one that fundamentally started with metallurgy grade silicon metal. All the other competitors I've seen, I've read many of them, start with basically saline gas CVD type of process. Okay. Now, of course, I am certain that there's going to be a lot of people going to have fun showing me lab report from university telling me that they've invented how to make a batteries out of, I don't know, a MacGyver batteries, like 3 pieces of tape and those issues. Yeah, fine. Okay. I'm talking 18650 commercial size battery, 21700 commercial batteries, real type, So it's not
that kind of
comparable.
conference, Bernard. Are you at the top of the heap? Pretty much at the top of the heap,
we're in a good position on top of the heap. Are we on top of the heap? No, I won't say that because there might be the other side of the heap I don't see because the heap is so big. Okay? But we've done enough of the work of understanding the market to have senior people in not competing industry, but in close industry related to batteries, being very surprised by all the information we've gathered in such a short time. Our knowledge base in this regard. And that doesn't reflect on where we are, which is unfortunately for one side, but it's going to be fortunate for the new ones coming in.
All right, we'll leave it at that. That's awesome. I can't end it off without maybe asking you if, just for a couple of minutes, any update on the fumed silica side and how that's going? Or are you even able to give an update right now?
You know what? I will choose to use a more formal process to give updates. I think Like I'm basically everything is going according to plan moving forward, but I prefer to come up with a profound update on that.
Okay, final question. It looks like you're wearing a black shirt. Black shirts are usually Johnny Cash. Are you trying to send us a signal that Johnny Cash?
You know how many of the
what is,
shirt
because people are
stories?
going to analyze your shirt, you know that.
It was my Steve Jobs day. Well, no, it's not exactly the same type of job. It's a new version. No, I don't know. There was no signification. So it's a nice sunny day in Montreal. Enjoying those days.
Yep, see it on your face, and I guess you want to match me because I'm always wearing the black T-shirt. So we make a good combo. We should start a duet, a duet music group one day, if this doesn't work
Oh,
out.
that would be bad.
The
I think
Bernie and George show.
I'll just think we'll just stick with the Bernie and George show.
Hey, I don't think you gave us any Bernieisms today, by the way.
Oh
You
my God, I
might
must be
have at
sick.
the beginning. There was when you said hitchhike or something like that. Hitchhike on. It might have been, but I didn't mark it down. But you know, don't don't stop giving us Bernieisms. I know you don't do it on purpose, but you know, everyone looks forward to them. But congratulations, man. This is a great milestone.
Thank you.
Thanks for explaining it all and looking forward to, you know, there's a 2 week break, which for HPQ is almost, you know, the Grand Canyon. Uh, am I going to see you again? Because remember, around November 5th, 6th, 7th, I don't think you want to be putting out press releases right at US election, November 5th and 6th. I would keep that in mind. That's all I'm telling you, that you don't want to get drowned out by what the US election is going to own that news cycle. So hopefully we'll see you before then, my friend.
Okay.
To everyone at home, thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you liked it. Hope you got some great info as always. We'd love to hear your comments either in the YouTube comment section on Agoracom. And until the next time, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. If you're in Eastern Canada, Northeastern US, go enjoy the sun. Fantastic day. See you, Bernard.
See you.
Hey Small Cap fam, I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agoracom? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agoracom small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.